For those of you who are still following this channel, I am back, and I promise I'm not leaving again, at least not soon. I even picked a pretty good moment to return, so let's get straight to it. Barcelona, Real Madrid, Spanish Super Cup final match review. Pure chaos, massive drama, the first real clash between the Spanish giants this year. Can you believe it's only been 11 days into the new year and we already got an El Clasico? What do you think? Do we have a shot at 4 meetings again this season like the last one? Anyway, Barcelona started with probably the best lineup available right now. Joan Garcia in goal, his first ever Clásico. Jules Koundé at right back, Cubarsí and Eric Garcia in the middle, Balde on the left. Frankie and Pedri shielding the defense, unchanged from the previous game. Further up, Yamal returned to the starting 11 with Fermin and Rafinha alongside him, all three behind one man, surprisingly in my opinion, Lewandowski. I honestly didn't expect him to start. Real Madrid mostly stuck with the same team. Courtois in goal, Valverde at right back on paper, Asensio with Hausen centrally this time, Carreras on the left. Tchouaméni and Camavinga as the holding midfielders, Rodrigo on the right, Vinicius on the left, Bellingham behind Gonzalo Garcia. Surprisingly here as well, Mbappé only on the bench, even though he was reportedly fully fit a day earlier. After about 2 minutes it became clear Valverde wasn't actually playing right back, but in midfield. Tchouaméni dropped into defense, Asensio shifted wide. Still, Valverde tracked back defensively and it looked more like a 5-3-2 when Real were defending. The first 5 minutes were intense, full of 1v1 situations, but no real chances. Both teams were filling each other out, trying to pin the other back. Around the 6th minute, the first real moment. Koundé puts in a cross, Hausen clears it out for what should have been a corner, but only a goal kick is given. Real respond with a pass to Vinicius, who drives forward well, but is blocked by Eric Garcia. The game had a very good tempo. Vinicius then has the first real chance. In the 14th minute, beats his man with pace, Gonzalo Garcia arrives late so the Brazilian shoots himself, but it's a weak effort. An equally big chance comes at the other end and right after. Rafinha takes a corner, Eric Garcia gets a free header right in the face of Carreras. If the ball doesn't hit him, it's probably a goal. Play switches again. Vinicius uses his pace once more, but Rafinha tracks back and concedes a corner. Very strong first 15 minutes, no goals yet, but it felt like a very even game. Minute 22, Carreras basically commits a yellow card foul on Yamal off the ball straight on the leg, but nothing is given. That was a big refereeing mistake, that challenge had no place there. After a few failed attempts, Yamal finally gets through, crosses, the ball ricochets to the edge of the box where Rafinha shoots. Not bad, but straight at Courtois. Some moments later, after a series of chaotic deflections, Gonzalo Garcia receives a great pass, but just like Vinicius earlier, he finishes terribly. At the other end, Fermin receives the ball from Pedri inside the box, but he also fails to strike it properly. It was almost a mirror game. Every chance for one team was answered by a chance for the other. That balance broke in the 35th minute, when Yamal plays an absolutely brilliant pass to Rafinha, who rushes it and finishes not badly. Horribly. Barcelona's biggest chance up to that point completely wasted. But he redeems himself immediately, from a much harder position. It all starts with a bad pass from Rodrigo, a quick vertical ball from Fermin Lopez, Rafinha shoots under Tchouaméni and scores. The game needed that goal, it was starting to feel a bit flat. Barcelona get the next chance too. Lamine beats his man out wide, lays it off to Fermin, his shot is powerful but Courtois is a top goalkeeper and pushes it out for a corner. From the set piece, the ball reaches Yamal again, who shoots in similar fashion, Courtois forces another corner. In the 43rd minute, Yamal wins a completely soft free kick near the halfway line. Carreras did absolutely nothing there. Let's say it balances out the yellow card that wasn't given earlier. Right before halftime, exactly when they needed it, Vinicius finally wakes up after about 20 games of nothing. He plows down the entire flank, nobody steps in, and when they finally do, it's too late. This one is almost entirely on Koundé, who should have fouled him at least 3 times before he reached the box. The goal itself is poor Brazilian quality, nothing to argue about. The one thing to note is that Barcelona handled the end of the half poorly. They were in control, could have made it 2-0 but rushed things unnecessarily before Vinicius' goal. Still, Pedri somehow fixes Koundé's mistake, a beautiful pass, Lewandowski remembers he's a world-class striker, an excellent first touch and the finish speaks for itself. The goal was deserved, almost karmic, I'd say. But then it's even again. Now that's a game. Before anything else, some Barca fans will say there was a foul on Eric Garcia before the corner. No, there wasn't. Eric Garcia hits Bellingham, not the other way around. At the corner itself, nobody really understands what happens. But the end result is Gonzalo Garcia putting it in the net. What Barca fans can clearly say is that Real got a bit more than they deserved in the first half. The first 20 minutes were balanced, 50-50 in chances, but the rest of the half belonged to Barcelona. But like I said before, Real Madrid doesn't need to control games to score. Despite Barcelona having 76% possession and a 9-5 edge in shots, despite the attacking numbers clearly favoring Barca, the score was even. Another debatable point, the referee added too much stoppage time. 3 minutes were shown, and Real Madrid scored in the 6th. That's excessive, no matter how you look at it. Still, it's not an excuse for that defensive carelessness. A very entertaining first half comes to an end. We've already talked about the scoreline. You can say Real didn't play, quite the opposite. They could have scored those 2 goals earlier, not right before the break. That's football, you have to maximize your chances. The big questions on everyone's mind was the same. Does Mbappe come on after the break or not? Because if Real held their own without him, with him, their best player, they should win, right? The answer was no. I don't know if Gonzalo Garcia's goal convinced Xabi Alonso or not, but he didn't change anything. Vinicius has the first good moment of the second half, beats Cubarsí and wins a corner. Nothing comes of it. It feels like a replay of the first half. Play quickly shifts to the other end, Bellingham plays a terrible pass, and Rafinha handles the situation well, except for the final ball to Lewandowski. Minute 51, Vinicius takes advantage of a counter-attack, he shoots, Joan Garcia saves, the rebound falls back to the Brazilian, but he blasts it way over. Minute 53, Bellingham falls Frenkie de Jong right on the edge of the box. Rafinha takes it but sends it over. He goes for a lob rather than a proper shot, wrong decision. 56, Asensio fouls Pedri from behind, clear yellow, which he gets. Players start pushing each other for no reason, a few more cards follow. Never a red, maybe a bit reckless but not intentional. 63, another big chance, this time for Rodrigo. Vinicius passes, but Rodrigo's shot is saved by Joan Garcia. 64, Yamal crosses into the box, nobody reaches, Courtois clears. Substitutions follow. Olmo and Ferran come on for Barcelona. Fermin and Lewandowski go off like for like. Güler comes on for Real, Valverde cannot continue, he's limping badly. Minute 71, Courtois keeps Madrid alive again. Great Koundé cross, Yamal shoots straight down the middle, but with power, the Belgian keeper is there again. But the goal comes 2 minutes later. Rafinha shoots with his weaker foot, Asensio deflects it, Courtois is already committed, advantage for Barcelona. Mbappe finally comes on, Gonzalo Garcia goes off, and Hausen is replaced by Alaba as well, an interesting change. 79, a quick free kick to Olmo, he looks for the shot, gets blocked, the ball falls back to him and he shoots again, but it goes out for a goal kick. He wanted the corner, I couldn't tell from the broadcast if it was or not. 81, Lamine goes on a dribbling run, eventually crosses, the ball deflects off Alaba into Courtois' arms. The crowd wanted a penalty, never one, it hits his leg. Alonso brings on Mastantuono and Ceballos, while Hansi Flick sends on Gerard Martin and Rashford. Rafinha and Eric Garcia go off, important players oddly enough. Minute 86, Yamal loses the ball cheaply, Rodrigo had a great passing option, Pedri commits a tactical foul. He had to do it, let the memes flow, it's tradition at this point. 87, Carreras studs Yamal again, this time in the air, but no foul is given. Real Madrid's fullback seems immune to cards. Then Frenkie de Jong gets a straight red for a challenge in midfield. It's not overly aggressive, but his studs are up, correct decision, it's a red. 5 minutes of stoppage time are added, Araujo, Barcelona's red card specialist, comes on, Yamal goes off. Minute 95, Rashford gets a huge chance, he misses. Could have buried the game there, no more nerves at the end. Seconds later, Carreras suddenly has the equalizer at his feet. He hits it weakly, straight as Joan Garcia. Real Madrid win one last corner, Asensio sends it again into Joan Garcia's arms. Barcelona wins, keeps the trophy and beat Real once again, making it 10 consecutive wins. Going back to the game overall, I think the result is fair. Real had the bigger chances, especially in the first half, but not the control of the game. Barcelona overall were the more cohesive team. Xabi Alonso prepared the game well tactically and Barcelona looked a bit confused early on. Valverde covering the flank defensively and forming a back five was a smart move. Real Madrid scored twice in the first half when Barcelona were more dominant, but failed to score in the second half where they attacked more. The first half was spectacular, the second one lacked quality at times. Still, despite Alonso's tactical plan, Barcelona were the better team. More possession, double the passes, more shots and most importantly, they managed the game well after Rafinha's goal. And yes, Real Madrid had more big chances, but you also need luck. There's no shame in saying it. It doesn't take away from the merit. Barcelona had some luck in this game. Let's talk about the players now. First Barcelona's starting 11, then a few standouts from Real. Joan Garcia, solid again. Wins a trophy in his first El Clasico. Not at fault for any of the goals, nothing he could do. 7 saves in total, 3 of them very difficult. Barcelona have landed a top goalkeeper with his signing. Jules Koundé, despite Barcelona's defense not shining overall, I think he was the most solid. Yes, the first goal comes from his side, but he made up for it with the rest of his performance. 3 tackles out of 3, 2 interceptions, 11 recoveries, dribbled past twice but against a pace merchant that's acceptable. Cubarsí, really poor game. Beaten more often than Koundé, mainly by Vinicius but not only. Looked very weak in 1v1s. Let's not forget that in some of his early standout matches for Barcelona, he managed to keep Mbappé quiet at PSG. This time he struggled badly even against Mbappé's backup, Gonzalo Garcia. Overall a bad defensive showing and Eric Garcia didn't fare much better. After an excellent semi-final, it made sense for Flick to keep him, but he looked just as shaky as Cubarsí. Unlike his teammate, he wasn't dribbled past once, but he was beaten by balls in behind. There's room for improvement, though at least the high line doesn't seem like the main issue lately. Alejandro Balde, I've seen comments saying I hate on him for no reason. It's not hate if you're right. This time I won't even explain. I'll just show you this picture and let you draw your own conclusions. Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I've got something against him. Frenkie de Jong, a decent game, even with the red card at the end, 94% pass accuracy, 95% in Real's half, 99 touches, he was one short of 100 before the ref sent him off, he controlled midfield maybe even more than Pedri. Pedri didn't have a bad game either, 3 key passes, 1 big chance created, 1 assist, but fewer touches, quieter than usual. He lost possession 7 times, 2 of them being long passes in the first half, passes that he normally gets right. To sum it up, solid but not outstanding. Yamal, the first 20-25 minutes, he lost almost every 1v1 with Carreras, looked completely off it. Then he recovered and started dominating his compatriot. 2 shots both on target, 1 big chance saved by Courtois, 86 touches, 6 dribbles, fouled 5 times, 1 big chance created, 2 key passes, overall a good game. He even had 2 defensive recoveries, which deserves credit. Fermin, he gets an assist, but there's not much else to say. When opponents close the space between the lines, he disappears. His entire operating zone gets shut down. Still, he has 6 goal contributions in the last 3 games. I think we can forgive him for not doing more. Rafinha, man of the match. 2 goals from 5 shots, missed another big chance, could have had a hat-trick. 1 key pass, 4 defensive contributions, he's slowly getting back to last season's level. Let's hope there's no drop-off again. Lewandowski, turns out I wasn't wrong saying he should still start. That goal was crucial, pure elite number 9 skill. Only 8 passes all game, almost invisible, but he showed up when it mattered and scored. That's all I need from a striker. And for Real Madrid, 3 standouts. First, Courtois. Despite the loss and conceding 3 goals, which will hurt his rating, he made 4 saves. At least one of them against Yamal was basically a goal prevented. One of their best players in my opinion. Second, Gonzalo Garcia. Similar to Lewandowski in concept, not very involved, but when he showed up, he scored and assisted. He won't get any credit because of the loss, but he filled in for Mbappé honorably. And clearly the best Real player, Vinicius. 1 goal, several dangerous runs, could have had an assist. I feared he'd rediscover his form against Barcelona, and he did, but the rest of the team didn't follow. What didn't work for Real Madrid? Defense and midfield. The ratings say it all. The weakest This link was Asensio. Booked deflects a ball into his own net and misses that huge late chance to equalize. And then the midfield. Nothing new here. I called this before Kroos even left. Luka Modric patched things up for a while, but once he was gone too, it got ugly. 2 seasons later, the problem is still there. Real don't build play. They sit deep and launch direct balls to the forwards or wings, hoping something happens. That's the entire game plan right now. To wrap it up, Barcelona already have at least 1 trophy in this year. We can relax now, eyes on the World Cup. Just kidding, but it does bring some relief. Hansi Flick keeps his winning streak alive and remains unbeaten in finals as a coach. This energy needs to be stored and managed carefully. The next game is in 3 days, in Copa del Rey. Then La Liga, then Champions League returns. We've got a lot ahead of us. Leave your thoughts in the comments about the game and which player impressed you the most, and I'll see you in the next video. And before you go, if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow, especially now while it's still at the beginning. See you next time.